filled the brush up, the airbrush up. Turn the compressor on, as you can hear it. That little noise is must be a little leaking or somewhere. Right, so I'm going to try the camera like this so I can get a close up and you can see what it looks like from the distance from as well. I don't know if it'll work. Do the first coat over the top. Never press the trigger on the model. You always start off the model like here. And you always start off the model here. And then you finish here. So you press the trigger here. On, and then let it go off the model. Never start it on the model because you'll get a run. It's all about putting the right, how close you are to the model and how far you're away. But it all depends on what paint as well. Some paint dries a lot quicker than others, so you don't want the paint drying before it hits the model, otherwise you'll get like an orange peel effect. Or you don't want to be too close because you'll get runs. It has to be just right. And the final coat is one, a little bit on the run. There you can see it slowly building up now. Like I said, concentrate on the recesses to start with. You don't want the recesses to be the last things to do. For me, you put your gloss coat on, you have to put a heavy coat on. Your coats get heavier and heavier and they get heavier and heavier. 3-4 coats is about, this isn't a full coat yet. See how much full coat is? The one, this trigger one is the first trigger airbrush I've ever used. My other one is it's a double action one. It's in here, it's like you get, on the other one you pull down for, you push down for air, so you can adjust air and you pull back for paint. On this one, you don't have a down button for air, but what you have is this little button here. You have to set your air at which whenever you want it, and then you can't alter it. Well, you can alter it while you're using it, but you'd have to use that little finger. Like the other one that I've got, you press down for air and back for paint, but I just think it's better this. The thing on the end there stops you pulling too much paint back, you can set it. Right, let's give it another. It's coming on now, isn't it? See, colours building up every time I put a layer on. See this orange, if you look at the box artwork, it's not just a monochrome orange, it's like different shades of orange, like blotchy in certain parts. So this is why I wanted to put a light coat underneath. I just want to leave the light shining through in certain areas. You think a bit too light or what? Too dark in the orange? Won't know until it's all done. I'll turn it off to do it on the side. There, look. Just try not to put too much on. I've got to think the black areas is going to be around the nose cone, so I'll have to concentrate on that. I'm going to try to get an even coat to start with. Then we can start putting heavier coats on. Don't want to rush it. There, slowly again. It's becoming solid now. See, with my other one, I could just go back to air and just blow it dry. Right, we'll leave that. I need a little turntable. Acrylic dries a lot easier. See, these airbrushes are brilliant, and they're not just for. They're really easy to use. It doesn't take much skill, and you can use them for anything, not just models. You can use them for cars. It all depends what medium you use. I'm using acrylics here, but even these, once they're set, they're water-based to put on, but once they're set, they're rock hard. You can do cakes, you can do food, you can do nail art, and just fun. You could do artwork. I've not used them for 7 years. And look at, I'm not this bad really. Start doing dinks and scratches. I'm going to do that once, you know. A little business, mobile, a fender bender, dink, scratches and bumps. I come to you. Right, so the colour is coming, I think from a distance it's looking alright, you know. Right, I'll let that dry and we'll come back and give it another couple of coats. What I'm going to do after this, I'm going to do the all orange, make sure it's got a good coverage, do the bottom. Then we're going to mask up the black areas, give it all a coat of gloss, and then we'll put the decals on. Yeah, it's getting there now, Sticky. See, like I said, this is there. I'm not going to weather it, because we want it to be the Right, catch you in a bit. Right, so that's a couple of coats on top. It still needs a couple more. But the tail fin, for some reason, the paint hasn't sat right on the tail fin. We have to sand that back down. Look, see, it might have been just a little bit of grease. That's all it takes. But look how smooth it's gone on the top in the fuselage. It's like perfect. So I'll let that dry. Do the tail again. See, you have to just check it every time. Because if I just skip that and moved on to the next part, if you skip any procedure, cut corners, the end result shows you can't cut corners in this hobby. Not really. But it's looking pretty sleek now. I like the leading edges which are white like that. You know, on the wings. I put different colour. Right, I'll put it down. Right, I've come across a problem and I just want to point it out to you. And this is like a typical problem of building a model. So where I joined the fuselage to the wing, there was a massive gap on either side. So what you do, like I said, rinse and repeat. You fill, you prime, and you sand. You fill, you sand, and you prime, and you keep on checking it until you're satisfactory with joint, and then you put your colour on. You never put your colour on until you're satisfied with the joint. But when I'd filled it, sanded it and primed it a couple of times, it looked, when the primer were down, it looked like there was nothing there, like I'd got rid of it. Let me just show you from double view. So like if you put it onto here, look, on the close-up, you can see these little speckles here on the left. But from a distance on the right, you can't see them, can you, look? So I sanded them out. I thought I'd sanded them out, put my primer on because I still couldn't see it. What I usually do is I close my eyes, I'll fill it, I'll sand it, I'll prime it, and right, I thought I'd got it, but I'll show you. This is what happened last time. Look, can you see it just there? In certain light, you can still see them little holes. Can you see them there? Yeah, but when away from this light like that, you can't see it no more, and you can't even feel it. But I know, if I put colour on that, I'm going to put the lacquer on it, it'll show up. I'm going to sand it again. But I'll just check. Right, I think I've got it out this time. I went right down to the plastic, and then even when I thought I'd done it, I went that little bit further. So, just before you put your primer on, if you're painting on and you get to the stage where you're ready for your primer, always use at least 300 grit wet and dry. Because if you don't, you'll see scratches in the plastic or even in the metal if you're doing a car, or in wood. You see, 80 grit is to get the paint off or whatever, and then you use 320 to make the surface as smooth as you can. Then you put your primer on, 800 grit for the primer. I don't know why it's like in between smooth and coarse, not coarse enough for it to be like lumpy, but not smooth enough for it to run off and cause runs. So 800 is a perfect gripping base and a bit of a foundation for your colours. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a quick coat of grey to check it, and then I'll come back and show you, and then we'll give it a coat of white and put the colour. Milo! Right, so I've sanded and sanded and sanded. Milo! Stop it! Right, I don't know what dogs are, it's gone mad. Barking and barking, so I'm just sanding and sanding and sanding. This is what it's all about. Just sanding to try and get it out. So there it still is there. I just keep on doing it and doing it and doing it until you're satisfied with it. In the computer again, they call this a grind, don't they, when you have to do the same thing over and over again. Like I said, you give it a use different grades of sandpaper. You see, I never knew this, but when you get different, it all matters which you got to do a certain procedure when you're painting to get a good effect. So you start off with coarse sandpaper and you work up to finer grit as you go on. So to start with, you'll use something like 80 grit, but lower the number. Think of it this way: lower the number, coarser it is. So if you think of like, say 50 grit sandpaper, and then you look at 100 grit sandpaper. So if you just think about 50 grit, it'd be 50 pieces of sand to a certain area of paper. So this is a sheet of wet and dry paper. The black stuff is usually called wet and dry, and the brown stuff is usually called sandpaper, but you've got to be careful. Wet and dry is meant to be waterproof. That's like this one, it says it's waterproof. Look, it says it here, waterproof there. And this is important because when you're trying to get a good finish on any project with painting, either it be cars, models, the final result all depends on if you follow the right procedure in sanding, in preparation. You see, say you get a scratch on this model or a car and you want to fix it, you have to take that scratch out. So like I'm doing here in the wing, I'm taking it down now right to the plastic. So if this were a car and it had a scratch, I take the paint off and I take the scratch right down to where the metal was and I sand it out. But to do that, no point sanding it with really fine sandpaper because it just takes forever to get it all. So you use like rough, and I think 180 grit is about as rough as you need really to take any paint off. Can you see, it's fairly coarse. If you rubbed it hard enough, you cut yourself. Yeah, and what you do, once you've got down with that, you can use even coarser, like sanding sticks are mainly coarser than wet and dry. So this, what I was saying, it's important that you get waterproof stuff because you can dip it in water and it gives you a better finish when it's wet. If you use normal sandpaper, when you put that in water, it'll just fall apart and you get this fake stuff that looks like wet and dry because it's black and green, but when you put it in water, it's just black ink. Normal sandpaper painted black, so you just run the black all over and all the sand comes off. This stuff is good. The stuff you get from Alfred is really good. You can buy one sheet of that and it's just about, it's like a cloth, you can wash it and wring it out. Anyway, so you use coarse stuff to take the paint off, you get down to the metal or plastic, and then you put your primer on, and I always use, which is recommended as well, 800 grit then for your primer. And then once you've used that 800 grit for your primer, you put your primer on and you've washed it and you've dried it, then you put your paint on, and if you want to polish your paint, you'd use over 1,000 after that. So once you put your paint on, you can polish it back with 1,000 grit, and then once you put your lacquer on, if you even go further than that, I use these little sticks at the end. This one here is, so remember that coarse bit here, 180 grit, and the next one up from that is 320, and you go right up to like 900, 1,000, then you go into emery cloth, and then you can get these sticks here. This, like I'll show you in a minute, this one's 2,400. If I was to do plastic with this one, it'd take watch, I'll show you, like, look at the nose corner here, it'd take forever, but watch me show you how smooth it gets. So I'll just take the ring bit here, and I'll get the wing, yeah, get the wing, there. I'm trying to get an angle for you. So sit there. You always get it like that. You get a good finish. This has just had one colour coat on it, so it's really smooth. And you don't even have to be a professional sprayer, because even if you just get like an orange peel effect on it, you can just sand it out with this. You get to a point where you don't spray with that orange peel effect. You get over that. You know, it's all about out the distance from the object you're spraying. Imagine you've got a spray can, and you spray from here. You don't want the paint drying before it. You don't want the paint drying as it's leaving the can to hitting the model or car. You don't want the paint drying in between, because once it hits the model or the car, it'll start drying and you'll get like what's called an orange peel effect, like it's a little lumpy surface, and it just takes a lot of polishing out. So what you have to do, you have to get the right distance away so that it doesn't dry just before it gets there, and not too much, not too close, like you don't put too much on and get runs. So you just start with really thin coats. You do all the recesses like down here like I was saying, and once you've covered it all with thin coat, then you work out in your head, you stand it, you you stand it up to a point where you can reach every part. So you'd put on some kind of stand. You'd hold it somehow. You'd try put it somewhere, or you try hold it. Right, so I put the orange on now. Finally, I'm happy with it. I think it's a little bit darker than I'd like, but I think it's not as monotone. That's what we're worried about. It's going to look really just flat orange. So because I put like a grey base coat, a white coat underneath, and then I've like blotched it on. So I think underneath it doesn't even look that bad either. That's what wheelbase you're doing, but I think it's not that bad. Just gonna put a matte coat over it, and I'm gonna let it dry a bit more, maybe overnight even. I give a thin coat of lacquer just to seal it in. Milo, I've also stacked up the undercarriage legs. Milo, come here, what's this? Undercarriage legs and bay doors. Hiya, babies. Hiya, who's that? Is that like a little Milo? Hiya, babies. I painted the wheel doors, bay doors orange on one side and other side, turn them over. I've stuck them down with blue tack, which I thought was a good idea. Just painted them white on that side and turned them back over, sprayed them at the same time. You do a couple more coats on that, because I think you've got decals as well. I just put the wheels and undercarriage legs together, mounted them and sprayed them all white. I will be painting the tyres grey. You never paint them black, I remember that. You never paint model tyres black, because scale, it looks like a toy. So yeah, I'm really enjoying doing this. Like I said, it will be done. It will be done for my subscribers. That's what I'm doing it for. I actually enjoy giving them. I actually enjoy building them, and actually enjoy the prospect of someone enjoying my time and effort that they're gonna put on the shelf somewhere and look at it. You know what I mean? They're gonna enjoy it. Me, I'd probably just do it and I'd get knocked off the shelf and broke. You know what I mean? And then I just do another one. That's what I do. I build them and I just end up getting broke. Well, that's what I used to do. Probably not now. My dog. He's got a window view. He's got a good ball there. Some water in it as well. Hey, Milo. It's empty. He's got some neon lights. This is his own bedroom, isn't it, Milo? Yeah. Where's the bedroom? Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Where's your look, guys, there, babies. Say hello. Hold on. Say hello. Right. So once this is dry, we'll mask it up and do the black. Oh, you say hello. Well, and then we'll do that, and I think tomorrow will be done. Tomorrow will be done. It's the decals that's going to take. There's about 200 decals to put on it. Wow. I'll show you more in a bit. There's absolutely loads.